This, ladies and gentlemen, is what you needed to know all this time. I'm about to show you some exciting traps and opening tricks that advanced players use in their games. Real games, be it classical, rapid, blitz or bullet, it doesn't matter. This should be your desired position that you always need to visualize. Black's 2 knights along the 6th rank and the bishop on the 5th rank. That's all. So let's get started. Trap number 1. This may happen in the English opening, the opening that Ding played in today's round 10 of the 2023 FIDE World Chess Championship match. So when you look into the Masters database, knight to f6 is the top played move which Nepo played. By the way, this is not a recap of the World Chess Championship match, no. I'm just trying to prove to you that these traps do work in practical games. So knight c3 is what you play, then here pawn to e5 is what everybody is playing nowadays. In fact, this is what Nepo played in today's game. So you simply go knight to f3 like Ding, then again you can see knight to c6 is the top played move. In my last recap on the English opening, you guys, I recommended the move pawn to e4 in this position, but in that game, which was round 4 of the World Championship match, Ding played pawn to e3. But today he played what I recommended, pawn to e4. Now you know that you can still play e4. And again in that round 4 recap, we saw that Nepo played bishop b4, but in today's game he played bishop c5, which is the main area of our meet, you guys. This is where our little trap occurs. And now you can see this exact piece setup that I talked about in the introduction of this video. This setup right here, 2 knights placed along the 6th rank and the bishop on the 5th rank, which is what you're looking at in this position, you guys. So this is why you play like Ding. Simply shake your opponent's eyeballs by sacrificing your knight on e5, because after knight takes, the plan is to go d4. The whole idea of this simple trick, you guys, is to provoke black to give up his bishop pair. For example, if they take bishop takes d4, that's what we want. We are going to remain with a bishop pair and we are going to have a good game. This is very good in classical games and even in blitz. Anyways, the move that you will see most prepared opponents playing is bishop b4, because they understand that they need to keep their bishop pair for the end game. This is when you take the knight, and believe it or not, black is going to take back the pawn on e4 because your knight on c3 is pinned to the king. And now you defend your knight with queen f3, at the same time attacking black's knight on e4. So knight takes, pawn takes, attacking the bishop, and bishop c5 is what you will see them playing. This is exactly what happened in today's match, you guys. I'm not covering that match, by the way. So after bishop c5, the move to remember is queen g3. This stops black from castling short, and that's the main goal, you guys. So the correct move here is king f8, accepting to lose the right to castle, which is what Nepo played in the game. But there are some stubborn players, unprepared opponents, who just castle short in this position. Well, this is a mistake, because now you can play bishop h6, threatening to mate on g7, or before you do that, simply play bishop g5, first of all attacking the queen, making black to undevelop his bishop. And that's when you go bishop h6. They have to give up their rook, and you don't even have to rush to take that rook. You can play h4 first. If they save their rook, well, this h5, you just want to mate your opponent very fast. So hg, hg. And because of this possible discovery on your king, you play bishop e2. And say bishop f5, you go queen h2. It is very difficult for black to stop the mate on h8 without losing material in this position. E.g., if d takes e5, you can go bishop g5, there's a mate on h8. If bishop f6, stopping that mate, well, you can go rook d1 first, putting more pressure on your opponent. And if they play queen e7, now you go queen h7, check, and there's a mate in 2 in this position. I mean, even if they don't play queen e7, after you play rook d1, let's say they go queen c8 here, well, this will still be a mate in 2, you guys. Black cannot stop this mate with his toes. Anyways, so again after queen g3, instead of castling short, if black tries pawn to g6, well, you go bishop d3, developing a minor piece, and after pawn to d6, paving way for their light squared bishop. Well, you can go bishop g5, attacking the queen. This is even bad, you guys, because after queen d7, you can now put your bishop on f6, and this will be a very annoying bishop to black. Alright, trap number 2. In the 4 knights game, now this is going to be more interesting, you guys. So this is where you go e4, the black will play e5, knight f3, knight c6, normal stuff, knight c3. This is called the 3 knights opening, which invites the 4 knights variation. So now let me turn on the Lichess database to convince you guys that this is what people play. I'll only be showing you the top played moves, period. So knight to f6 is the top played move, after you develop your 2 knights, so this is where I suggest the move bishop b5, which is now the Spanish variation, as if you're playing the Ruy Lopez. And again, you can see the top played move is bishop c5. And now it's time for you to remember this piece setup which I talked about in the introduction. Again, the 2 knights along the 6th rank and the bishop on c5, which is what you're seeing on the board once again. So provided that the pawn is already on e5, you can simply go ahead and take that pawn just to disturb black's plans. And now you go pawn to d4, double attacking the bishop and the knight. So again, this line just basically forces black to give up his bishop pair very early in the opening stage, which is a plus to you as white. You know, they say bishops are better than knights. Yeah, theoretically speaking, that's true. Even Kasparov approved that. Anyways, but the second most played move that you're going to see everyone playing is bishop d6, as you can see in the Lichess database, which is a positional mistake, you guys, because now you can just castle short if you want. Well, it looks like black can save his knight, but no. And again, you'll see them saving their bishop pair, but you can just take, and after bishop takes, start developing all your pieces with tempo, and then go for a quick attack. You want to go h5, and it looks like this pawn is free, but well, you can just go for the knight, because the bishop is pinned to the king. And if knight g6, you hit the bishop once again. If pawn to f6, you pin the knight so that you still have this possibility of taking the free bishop. But if black unpins everything, well, you simply go bishop c4, still maintaining the threat of capturing the bishop, and if possible, mating your opponent like this. How cool was that? Anyways, and so after you see this piece set up once again, and then you sacrifice your knight, knight takes, there is this other move that most unprepared opponents like playing, bishop takes f2, an in-between move. The idea is that if you take their bishop, now they can take your knight, but this is a positional mistake, you guys, because your opponent now gives you more time to develop all your pieces with tempo. King g1 is the best place for the king. If black castles short, you have pawn to h3, and next you are going to capture the knight on h6, messing up black's pawn structure on the king side. So they mostly go pawn to c6. Now you bring back your bishop, attacking black's knight on g4, and after d6, defending that knight, you go h3. Still, you're going to mess up your opponent's pawn structure on the king side. And this should be winning for you. Next, you're going to play king h2. You connect your rooks after developing your queen. I mean, just imagine you are having this position in a world championship match. Anyways, trap number 3 in the Ruy Lopez. This is why you start with e4, then e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop b5. Then again, you can see that pawn to a6 is by far the top played move according to the Lichess database and also in the Masters database. So here you just go bishop a4. And again, you can see that knight to f6 is by far the top played move. So after this, you simply go castle short. And what do we see here? Bishop c5 is the third most played move in the Lichess database. If you want to know what to do against pawn to b5 or knight takes e4, you can watch the video that has popped up in the card up above. But hey, we are still interested in the third common move, bishop c5, according to the Lichess database. So once again, you can see this piece set up on the board, which I said you should always visualize. So what do you do again to simplify things and take the game straight into an endgame? Well, no two ways about it. You simply sacrifice your knight because they're going to take, after which you go pawn to d4, double attacking the bishop and the knight. Again, this line just forces black to give up his bishop pair, which is good for us. But you will see them playing bishop d6, which is a blunder. And that happens after pawn to b5. You can see in the Lichess database where you can simply go bishop b3 and then they go bishop d6. This is a terrible blunder, you guys. Black has lost because now you take that knight and after bishop takes, well, you simply go pawn to f4 and you are assured of winning one piece, either the bishop or the knight. Oh, black can play bishop c5, check. Well, that's not a thing. You can go king h1 and black's knight is almost trapped. The only square remaining is the g8 square, after which you go queen d5, threatening to mate on f7 or take the free bishop or even the free rook on a8. Well, let's go back a little bit. After you play knight takes e5 and knight takes, then pawn to d4, b5 and bishop b3. Instead of bishop d6, black can also try knight takes e4, but nothing has changed. Just take that bishop, and again if knight takes c5, which is the top played move, you are simply winning a piece here with queen d5. Same story, same mistakes. Before I show you the last beautiful trap, This is why you can encourage me by simply hitting the like button and subscribe to my channel if at all you haven't already. And one funny thing that you guys don't know about this channel is I have plenty of videos for you guys. None of the videos is a flop. You can find my playlist in the comment section down below, which I created specifically for you guys. You're going to discover some brand new videos that you thought I never created. Anyways, okay, trap number 4, you can also do this same technique against white. So this is where they start with e4, then you go e5, knight f3, then you go knight c6. Then here they play bishop c4, which is the Italian game. And now you simply play the 2 knights defense, which is my favorite defense, you guys. If you want to know what to do after knight g5, you can simply watch the video that has popped up in the card up above, or you can also find it in the comment section down below. So the setup that we're looking for once again is while white plays knight c3, you can see with your own eyeballs, that's the 3rd most played move. Again, you can see the 2 knights in the 3rd rank this time and the bishop on c4. What do we do? Well, again, we remember this setup that I showed you guys at first to take advantage of the e4 pawn, sack your knight, and after knight takes, you go pawn to d5, double attacking the knight and the bishop. Again, you just want to force white to give up his bishop pair. If they don't, we'll just take the knight. And after bishop takes, wait, they want to take your knight on c6 and win your free pawn on e5. So just play bishop d6, holding on to your e5 pawn. And so they're just going to cast short this time. They don't want to give up their bishop pair. So you can also cast short, and don't be afraid of doubling up your pawns. At best, you have your bishop pair for the endgame, and this position is winning according to Stockfish. And once again, just like what I showed you with white pieces, after knight takes e4, there's this in-between move that your opponents will be playing bishop takes f7, thinking they are taking away your right to castle, after which they are going to take back your knight. But this is only good for you because they are giving you more time to develop your pieces with tempo. And look at that knight once again. The only safe square for this knight is the g1 square. Well, after which you just continue developing your pawns with tempo. And if pawn to h4, that's even bad because the g4 square becomes weak. If pawn to f3, just take that pawn. And if knight takes, you now go bishop d6. Next, you want to play rook e8 check. And your king is very much safe, trust me. You're going to hide it on g8 if you want and bring all your rooks into the game. In this position, you are just very much ahead in development, and position is already about negative 4.3 according to Stockfish. So this is all for today, you guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please consider giving it a thumbs up and remember to subscribe to my channel if at all you haven't already. And until next time, bye bye.